How you doing? This is Antar Golar with Going After New Goals. Today I'm at the Wichita Cheesecake Company with Mark Daniels. So Mark, you want to tell us how'd you end up getting into the cheesecake business?
Well, actually, it was Grace, my wife, more than 20 years or so. I mean, she had already been doing, baking cheesecake for the family. I was more so the business guy. I was supposed to come in and just kind of help set things up. And initially, I don't think we ever thought of it as a business. It was just something she did for the family, something that she enjoyed doing. A friend, actually, of her nephew that worked at the bank was one of the people who suggested that, she started as a business. So we went to the Wichita Bridal Show.
Okay.
Super successful. The first day was supposed to be from 10 to 6. Mm-hmm. So when we set up, we started the bridal show. By 12 o'clock, it was out.
Wow.
Rushed home, baked more for the night. Sunday, same thing. 10 to 5, by 12 o'clock, it was out. So we thought at that point, well, maybe we should see, if there was actually something to this. But what we decided to do was not advertise. We wouldn't do anything. We would do some events around town and just kind of see what Wichita thought about the cheesecake itself. Mm-hmm. Well, each time we went somewhere, it was the same response. People were overwhelmed by, the cheesecake itself. Hey, they thought, man, this is good. Where are you guys located at? Well, of course, we didn't have a location.
Yeah.
So I went to a networking event. I met Christina there. But that was talking about T-shirts.
Okay.
So we talked about those things, and we made some business cards. Everything was about the T-shirts. Then we thought, well, hey, maybe, there's some traction that we can make talking about cheesecake. So we put the T-shirts and everything on the back burner and just kind of started to pursue this. So, with Christina, we met, talked about some things about the business itself, and kind of started to push forward a little bit. We continued to get traction throughout Wichita. People were clamoring about, who are these guys? Where are you guys at? So eventually, we started looking around for a commercial kitchen. Ran into all kinds of opposition about where we could set up at, how we could maintain what we were doing, where we could bake from. Kansas has, standards about where you can bake, where you can sell from. So when we couldn't find a commercial kitchen, went back, talked to Christina again. She hooked us up with Miss Williams from New Zion Baptist Church.
Okay.
So we had an opportunity to go in and use the kitchen at the church. So we licensed the kitchen through Kansas Department of Agriculture, and we started baking from there. But what we saw was they wanted to know where you are. They wanted to be able to physically come and see what we were doing. Right. So it was kind of an impediment to the business. A lot of times we felt like in the end we were losing about 40% from a conversion rate.
Wow.
So people would come and say, well, hey, we saw you at this event. We thought things were great. We enjoyed the taste of the cheesecake, but we want to come and pick it up on demand.
Okay.
So we started looking around, and eventually, some things worked out, kind of fell into place, and, we ended up here at Union Station.
And how long ago was this?
Now, we opened here at Union Station on the 26th of April, so it's been just a little bit less than a year now.
So tell us, when you were doing this initial the bridal shower event, was it a select amount of cheesecake varieties that you were offering there?
Well, I think we had 3 flavors. Now, in the beginning, when we started thinking about the cheesecake, for us, it was always about the different flavors. So we've always had 30 plus flavors that we could deliver at any given time.
Wow.
So, but I think at the bridal show itself, we probably had 3 or 4 flavors that were there.
So, after you scaled up, how have you handled that compared to a year ago?
Well, I think that question in itself is, I can answer it a couple different ways. Our mindset always was to be conscious of what the overhead was. So when we found the place here at Union Station, that was the requirement. Okay, let's find a place that people can actually come to, they can walk in the door, but at the same time, because again, we didn't have any idea if it was going to work. We didn't know what the reception would be from Wichita. We had never done business down here in the downtown community itself. So once we found a lease rate that worked for us, we moved in here. But again, I think when I look back at it, we minimized our dream. We scaled it down into a ball that we thought was manageable.
Yeah.
But 2 or 3 months in, we were out of space.
Wow.
We needed to go back and redefine the goal that we were going to set for ourselves.
So how did you come up with the name for the company?
That's pretty funny too. I mean, we actually started out initially when the business itself, the concept was kind of born. It was called Sweet Sticky Things.
That's
so
interesting too. It's a nice one.
Well, yeah. I mean, we thought, hey, this kind of encapsulates, what we do, and it does all those things. But we sat down and we talked to people, throughout this process, and they were like, well, hey, that sounds like cinnamon rolls, or it sounds like some kind of treat that
it could be anything.
Yeah,
Sweet.
and here we were thinking that we had a gourmet cheesecake, this high-end cheesecake. So Sweet Sticky Things didn't really play into that whole name. So we went back into this renaming process, and then we came up with All About Cheesecake. So we were going to run with All About Cheesecake, and we got out there, and just before we were getting ready to print and rebrand and do all those things, we found it in 2 other places. Somebody in Kansas City that had never done business with it had actually requested the name, and then we found it in Tennessee as well. So, of course, we had to go away from that name. So then we figured, well, okay, we're in Wichita, right? So we started thinking about SEO and all those things, how we'll rank and how we'll show up when people are looking for it.
Google things.
Yeah, so we thought, well, okay, Wichita is the name. What are we doing? We're doing cheesecake. So you combine those 2 things together, and it kind of gives you an advantage from a user perspective when they're going to search and look for you.
So what motivates you to come down here every day now?
It's ours.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I worked for, all these companies before, and I went to WSU, majored in finance, and I thought to myself, after going years after school, I'd never done anything with a degree, never worked in the finance area. All the time I had given my degree to these other companies, to make them profitable. So, and it was 12 hours, 14 hours, driving all over the place for these different places and these different companies, always searching for that next level of what I thought of was success. When I finally made the shift in my head to be a part of something that was ours, now every day when we stick the key in the lock, doesn't matter how many hours we've been here, it's ours. It's every decision that we make in here, you either live with the consequences or you're surprised by how good the outcome was and stuff. So, I mean, that's the motivation itself.
So how many hours do you think you work a day?
I mean, it really depends. It can be anywhere from 14 to 16 hours. We put in 80-hour weeks and sometimes more than that.
Mm-hmm. So what are 3 things you've learned about running a business so far in this first year? That
it's always evolving. It's never the same. It's kind of like a living being. It's one of those things that you don't ever have all of the answers, because what was good and what worked today is different tomorrow. But it's a process. You continue, you get a little bit better each day. You know what to do, what not to do, and you just kind of keep layering on top of, those things that those things that work, those things that you don't, you redefine them, you readjust, and you just kind of keep it moving.
So if you weren't doing this, what do you think you'd be doing?
Well, I mean, I think it's always easy to fall back into the mindset that I had before. Your parents in the beginning, years ago would always tell you go to school and get a good job. But what I found out is that somebody else determines your ceiling whenever you work for somebody else and stuff. So for us, the thing that we know is the amount of money or the amount of success that we have is determined by how hard we work, and what our goals are and how we execute those things and stuff. It's always easy to have a vision or have a dream for something, but it's how you execute it. It's what things you do to work towards those dreams and those goals that you have.
Right. So initially when you were when you were putting this all together, were there a lot of people that doubted you guys coming together with this business?
I think for us it was the absolute opposite. I mean, I think that what we found out as far as the entrepreneurial community is that there are vast resources here. I mean, there were things that we took for granted or we never saw before. So this ecosystem that kind of runs behind the community out there is embracing. I mean, so we've had many people that have helped us in different situations and helped us along the way. So I mean, it's lots of resources. It's we've never had a bunch of naysayers. I'm pretty sure they're out there, but we've never listened to them and never paid much attention to them.
So is your team just you and Grace?
Well, we have a daughter that's helping us as well, and as we move forward and look to expand within the next 6 months or so, we'll look at expanding the team, and we're not sure if that will include family or if it'll include outside people as well.
Yeah. So how's your daughter like the outcome so far?
Well, I mean, it's funny. We were just talking about that yesterday, and I think she likes it because it's family, and she knows that she can feel the return, the reciprocal love from who the people are that are inside, opposed to going to a place that's cold and generic and they're just looking to get the job done. So for us, it's all about helping each other to move forward.
Right. So could you tell us some of the products that you guys offer down here?
Well, I mean, right now, everything is cheesecake. There are 33 plus different flavors of cheesecake. I mean, ours is a little bit higher end. I mean, from a pricing standpoint, it is really not costly. I mean, if you look at some of the outside markets, Kansas City and places like that, we produce the same product or a better product than some of these major brands that are out there. But ours is pretty cost effective.
Okay. So I've seen the cupcakes there. That's why I was kind of asking you. So do you sell like huge cheesecakes, slices, and these cupcakes here that I've seen?
Well, now those are mini cheesecakes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we sell cheesecakes from 6-inch through 10-inch. We also sell the minis, and we'll do some decorative cakes and those types of things as well. So yeah. So I mean, all sizes. We cut the 9-inch that we have into slices, and we sell those inside of here too. And I mean, and a lot of that is to make sure that it's price sensitive to those people who might not be able to afford a $40 cheesecake or who don't want to purchase a $40 cheesecake. We have $5 slices as well.
Okay, that's good. So when you initially opened this, you had you knew you had a customer base. So how have you built on that customer base?
Well, our business model was based on two different things, right? So what we don't do in the brick and mortar itself is count the walk-in traffic. So our business model initially was to sell to businesses on the outside. That was the base, right? So we figured as long as we build on the base, which means add more businesses as far that we would deliver our cheesecake to, that everything else that came in the door was just an added on top of that particular business model and stuff. So now, and of course, like I said, to move back a little bit, initially when we opened the business, we weren't doing any advertising. So all the way until January of this year, we did no advertising at all. We didn't advertise on Facebook. Everything was organic that came in. So it was just a word of mouth that was kind of pushing out. We had a little press in Wichita Eagle when we opened up. I think during the summer, Channel 3, KSN, came down and did a little spot, on us. We had done a few events around town, so people knew a little bit about us and stuff. But we just initially started to push it out because we wanted to expand the operation that we were doing as from an advertising standpoint.
Now, being downtown, do you think that's been a really good location with all the construction and renovation going on down here?
It's been excellent for us. I mean, I think what you get is both. Now, what we've enjoyed is tremendous support from our community. And when I say our community, I mean the African American community.
Yeah.
They've come out in just wide support of everything that we've done. I mean, everybody from the community voice to, just people who live on the north side who have made the trip to drive down to the middle of town to support us. But then on the backside of that, we've also gotten the rest of, You get the downtown support. So people that just happen to be in the area and realize, oh, there's a cheesecake company down there. So they've come out and support. And then as we start to advertise and people are becoming more aware of who we are, those people are coming in too. So we're getting people from Hutchinson and, just El Dorado that are who are specifically coming in support of what we do.
So how do you generate new ideas as far as flavors and things of that nature?
We just bounce them off of each other and stuff. And I think a lot of it is just what you see. It's things that are trending. We might be looking on Pinterest, or we might be looking in a magazine and see, okay, somewhere else they're doing this flavor. I wonder what that would taste like in cheesecake. So then we do our little R&D right here, and test those flavors. And if we think that we can make that concept and that someone may see that as something familiar, then we add it to our cheesecake, we test it, and then we put it out.
What have been some of your most popular flavors?
Well, like recently we added Twix. We added
Twix.
added like strawberry Moscato. We've done, what else have we done? We've done lavender, cherry limeade, root beer float. So
oh my God.
Just things that are, definitely. Just things that are familiar that you wouldn't normally just see in a cheesecake.
Yeah.
We've added those things. Banana pudding and things of that nature and stuff. People have really liked it a lot.
Tell me, how has being an entrepreneur affected your family life?
Well, for us, I think we've always been close. And when I say us, I'm talking about Grace and the kids. I don't think that there was ever really any disconnection, but now we get a chance to work together every day. That has its own impediments and stuff, when you see each other 24 hours a day and stuff. But for us, it's just kind of solidified our family. And then our outside nucleus, as far as the family is concerned, my brothers, her sisters, and brother-in-laws and all those things, they've all come down in support. They share things on Facebook. They promote us at their jobs. And so, it just kind of allows the entire family to participate.
So, do you believe that there's some formula to becoming a successful entrepreneur?
Yeah, definitely. I think, first of all, you have to dream big. Your dream should be big enough that it scares you. It should be something that you think is almost unachievable. Mm-hmm. But then it's the execution. It's all those things, the little things that you do that forward yourself towards that goal. So, if this dream is outside of what you think your mind can actually conceive or it can actually believe, then it's what you do to achieve those things along the way and stuff. Are you reading? Are you networking? Are you talking to people in your industry that are doing things that are bigger than what you're doing right now? So it's all the things that you can encapsulate that have to do with what your goal, what your vision is. And then it's how you go after it, and it's just like one step at a time. The old saying was, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Right. And that's, you just have to keep doing it. You keep plugging away and you keep doing a little bit every day towards that goal, towards that vision. Once you get there, you increase it, you enlarge it, and then you go after the next step on, in that vision.
And so how did you work through those fears? Just like one step at a time, like you just said, or when you initially had the dream of taking it from the church to a building? Was that kind of a scary situation for you mentally?
Absolutely. And I think I didn't know that I was going to make the leap until I made it. Yeah. I worked for Coca-Cola. Mm-hmm. So I had been there for 6 years, and was making a pretty decent salary. But every day that, once we started at the church, it became increasingly harder every day to go to work. I went to work angry. I get up in the morning, sit on the side of the bed, and drag myself out. I had to be at work at 5 o'clock in the morning. Oh. Every customer aggravated me. So everything from a work perspective aggravated me. So, once we found out that we were going to get the building here, I wanted to go part-time. So I talked to the supervisor, said, hey, this is the deal. I need to be out by 12 o'clock every day. No way I can leave Grace down there. to run everything by ourselves. It's not fair. So we made a decision to go part-time. Well, the day we opened here, I thought about it. I said, you know what? Part-time's not going to work. So I made that decision the day we opened to not go back to work. And I haven't been back. So the night before, I couldn't have told you that the very next day I wouldn't go to work. So yeah, it was absolutely scary. It was terrifying. And Grace would tell you that I agonized over that decision. Because I didn't know. Is this thing going to work?
Could you tell me 3 skills you say are needed to be a successful entrepreneur?
First and probably primary, you need some financial skills. So I think you've got to have some accounting, some minimum finance skills. You got to know cash flow statement, balance sheets and those kind of things. Because you got to be able to run your business. So the only way to know if your business is making progress or successful in any way is you've got to know what the numbers say. And you don't have to be an expert at it. You can always outsource those things. But generally, you've got to know, hey, am I doing the right thing? Am I selling at the right price and those type of things? Then I think you have to have some management skills. You've got to have some personal skills. So the people that work in the business with you, you have to be able to manage those people. You have to be able to manage the business itself, manage vendors. So all those things are primary skills to running any business. I think, and then probably third and almost as important as the financial skills is customer service skills. So if you're going to deal with the public, or if your business involves any type of interaction with outside of the people that are inside your business, then you've got to know how to talk to them and create relationships with those people, or you won't have a successful business for very long.
So speaking of relationships, so over the years, has that propelled your business, building these relationships with people?
Yes.
I know some people think they can just do it alone, and I'm like, man, I tell people all the time, it takes a team. Seek those people that can help you go to the next level.
Definitely. I think that in the beginning, everything starts with the concept. So you have some vision or some dream in your head, and you want to do those things. But I think where people get disconnected is they think that they can do everything inside of the business. So, there's always going to be someone outside of your business that's better than you are, right? That's why you have larger companies, and you don't just have one hamburger company. You've got 10 or 15 of them out there that do hamburgers. Well, each one of those companies do something specific, that are general to the success of their business. So it's the same thing within a single business. There's something that you have. So for us, it's cheesecake, right? Now, even though my major was finance, I don't do it often enough to say that, hey, I'm just an expert at finance. So what do? I outsource those things to a CPA. So I have that person, but now I have general knowledge to know that, hey, this person isn't doing something with my books that's not right, or my business isn't successful because I allowed somebody else to take control of what the internal workings of my business is. So yeah, I have a concept, but I don't spend time doing those things and stuff. I just outsource all the stuff that that's not in my wheelhouse.
So what has been some of your greatest inspiration since you've been here starting a business?
I think the people. Just the amount of response that we've gotten, and just the love that people have shown. Every day is inspirational. When you think that you're not making the traction that you'd like to have, somebody walks in your door and they tell you how great they think your product is. So it inspires you to go back and be just a little bit better than you were the day before. So for us, I think that, thinking about freedom, the ability to get up and open the door when you want to, work on the holiday, for the 4th of July if you want to. If you decide, well, hey, I think we would rather have some family time, you can put a sign up saying, hey, we're not open on the 4th of July. So just being able to make decisions and know that the decisions that we make have consequences. So you try to get a little bit better every day at your decision making because you know what the impact is.
Why will customers stay and do repeat business with you?
Well, because we're not fake. I mean, for me, it's hard to be generic, and we haven't tried to be a cookie cutter. We haven't tried to, just paint the inside of the place to make it all pretty. When you come in, we've had customers come in and say, "Hey, are you guys open for business?" We got boxes sitting around. But when that when you walk in the door, the smile that's on our faces because you're coming in. Yeah. It doesn't have anything to do with, saying, "Hey, this is mine," or beating on our chest or anything, saying, "Hey, this is how we do it." And it's never been about that. It's always about being real with the customer. So they know when they come in and we're talking about something, it's because that's what we're interested in conveying that to them, that, hey, we're real people with real circumstances, doing real things every day. So we understand what yours is, and we hope that you get the same thing from us.
That's pretty neat, man. Could you tell me one of your most memorable moments since running the business?
I think the first day, sticking the key in, unlocking the door, being unsure at 12 o'clock, which was supposed to be our grand opening, if anybody was going to show up, and then looking up and seeing just a parking lot full of people, that were standing in front of the door, showing us their teeth, how proud they were, and people that walked in the door that day saying, how happy they were that a black couple had opened this business downtown, hey, we support you, those type things. And they've continued to come. So 10 months later, people are still coming in, smiling, saying, hey, we're glad you guys are here. So, I mean, for us, I think that's the most inspirational thing that kind of keeps us afloat every day is people are counting on us, people are happy that we're here, and people are supportive that we're here.
So can you tell me more about how you found some of the resources to start your business, taking it from a church to bringing it downtown?
Well, again, a lot of it had to do with Christina. I mean, she's been a source of information. And when I say Christina, I'm talking about CML Collective. I'm talking about Now Founders Row. She has been a wealth of resources for us. But I've also I participated in the Emerging Leaders Program through the Kansas SBDC. So, I mean, I was part of that. WSU has lent their resources. So the entrepreneurship department there at WSU. So, I mean, I've had lots of connections with people. Floyd and his podcast. I mean, he's kind of come back and forth and supported us and shared what we do on an ongoing basis and stuff. So, again, like I said, there have been just a tremendous amount of resources that have been behind us. And, networking, just word of mouth, getting out there. I met you through a networking program that was there at Founders Grove. And, so, I mean, there was a small connection there. So, I mean, that's just kind of how it's been. You meet one person, you talk to somebody. I mean, I've been in Wichita for 29 years. I've worked at a ton of management type businesses and stuff. So I've kind of been around, sold insurance, and, just done a bunch of things.
So where are you from?
I'm born in Alabama, raised as a military kid throughout, nowhere in particular. But I was born there, grew up in Ohio and Germany and all kinds of places. Spent 10 years in the military myself. So just kind of been a little bit of everywhere. So, kind of grew up all over.
What would you say to someone looking to start a business like this, or just a cheesecake factory or cake factory, any kind of factory?
Dream big.
Yeah.
Again, just make sure that you expand your mind, to the possibilities. I mean, because I think the worst thing that could happen, you could be successful. So, I mean...
And why would you say that's the worst thing?
Because sometimes if you're not prepared for it, it's overwhelming. I mean, you kind of have to have a work ethic. I mean, the one thing about... Everybody throws the word around, entrepreneur, and I'm doing it for this reason. Your why is big, right? Why you're doing the business, what's the motivation behind the business is always big. But you have to be willing to put in what's necessary to make the business work. And again, when I talk about the 80 hours, I mean, sometimes it's more than that. It's coming in, it's ordering, it's cutting cheesecake, it's delivering cheesecake, it's customer service, it's forecasting for months down the road, years down the road, it's thinking about growth and expansion and all those things. So sometimes I physically am just wiped out. My body hurts, it's sore.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you get up, put the key in the lock, realize that it's your vision, it's your business, and you do it all over again.
Right.
So I think that you have to know in the beginning, is this something that I can keep up? Is this kind of some kind of charade? And I'm just masking it for all these people that are looking on, and they think that, that word entrepreneurship and being an entrepreneur, it sounds good. But no, there's some stuff that goes to it that you have to be ready for. So I think you kind of have to search within yourself to realize, am I just the paycheck kind of person? 9 to 5, then go get a job. Because that's what it is required for that paycheck is 9 to 5. This business is a 24, 365. It's what we live and it's what we breathe. And again, it's ever changing. It's just like a child. So, I mean, some days it's sick, it's running on life support. The next time it's thriving. So it's all those things that are in between that you manage to make it work.
So would you consider yourself a risk taker?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, but I hadn't always been. I think I had to grow to that, So 50 some odd years later, after, again, hearing those things that your parents tell you in the beginning, go to school, get a good job, and white, picket fence and house and all those things, you realize that there's being marginal means that you get marginal results.
Right.
Right. So small risk, small reward. So I think that we've become risk takers as far as, how we expand and how we want to live later.
Could you tell me some of your lessons learned from early failures in the business?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, talking about Grace, she would tell you that this is like in a line of businesses, So we talked about the T-shirt business before, and if you go way back, you can talk about Amway and all those other things and stuff, So just tried a bunch of things and, you kind of throw those things up against the wall and hope something sticks. But then eventually you get to the point where you find what you were meant to do. I mean, I've always enjoyed and was always interested in business.
Yeah.
So I mean, I always thought, well, the reason to major in business, to major in finance, everything involves business. There isn't anything out there that you do that doesn't involve some type of business mechanism.
Right.
So that's always been my interest. So now I think I finally settled into business. And even though a part of it that I do, the cheesecake part of it, wasn't something that I was necessarily interested in doing, it comes with the territory. So now it's about family, it's about running it, it's about making it work. So those are the things that I've kind of settled into.
Could you tell us some of the processes that goes into like a typical day here?
You arrive 9:30-ish, knowing that 10 o'clock you got to be open, because this is a small space. You're putting chairs outside. You got to count your register and get ready for the day, and get the sign turned on, and inside the box itself, if you don't have cakes in there, you got to cut cakes, and those some days that involve delivery to the restaurant, you're cutting cakes, packaging cakes, delivering to somewhere. Then you come back in. You greet your customers, talk to your customers, deal with your customers, orders, all those things. That's a typical day. And then there's some days like yesterday, Valentine's Day, where you have something special going on. You're actually doing all those things plus 10 more things,
Wow.
At the same time and stuff.
That's pretty interesting. So how can people reach you guys?
Well, I mean, we have a Facebook page, so we're at Wichita Cheesecake Company. We have a website, wichitacheesecakecompany.com. We're located at 701 East Douglas, right here at Union Station. 316-358-9494 is our telephone number. We're easily accessible. We're here 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Great. Could you tell me what's one of your favorite books?
I like the Execution Pipeline. I like, what is it? I think it's The Greatest Salesman. What else? I mean, I think I read a little bit of everything. Most of the books that I read at this particular point are self-help types of books. It's what entrepreneurs like myself have done years previous that have made them successful. I recently got a book by Damon John, The Power of Broke. It's been a great read. So I mean, just it's so many out there. I'm trying to think of. There's a book out by. It's the Old Think and Grow Rich book, but it had this one has a black author. I think it's Napoleon Hill wrote.
I think it was Kimbrough something.
Yeah, Dennis Kimbrough.
Yeah,
Dennis Kimbrough. So I mean, that's an excellent read. I mean, it has all types of affirmations in it and all types of business insights that he's discovered through his excellent read.
And the last question: what do you enjoy most about what you do?
Free. You know, honestly, being able to come in and kind of determine, you know, how we're going to do things, how we're going to proceed forward, and just opportunity. I mean, you know, the opportunity to grow our business, to provide more, you know, for the customer base that we have and stuff. So, I mean, just enjoying being me, you know, inside of this space that we create.
Well, I definitely appreciate your time. I'm not gonna hold you up anymore. I know you're a busy man.
It's been a pleasure.
And hopefully I can come back and do another one of these days.
We always
with your wife.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, thank you.
All right.
This is Going After New Goals, and I am here with Mark Daniels.
Yes, sir.
Talk to you later.
All right, take care.